So Sam.
Hmm?
Hey Sam.
Yes?
What did you think of Black Panther?
That's racist!
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, we just came from a screening, an advanced screening, a super exclusive advanced screening that we had to pay $55
$55 for.
We weren't invited, it was just a special generic ticket that we paid extra money for.
You are one pathetic loser.
We saw Black Panther just then. We're giving you one of the world's first exclusive reviews.
And we also got some cool merch from whatever this is. We don't even know what it is yet, but they gave it out when we walked in.
It's probably just full of napkins.
It's probably nothing. Yeah, it was probably just like napkins. They're like, hey, you guys want some napkins? Like, you paid $55 for this, so it better be damn good. Was it good? We'll tell you now. Okay.
Alright, unboxing.
Unboxing time. Here we go.
What the fuck did
That was the dumbest thing ever.
No, it does. It pops
oh,
open.
okay, yeah.
We're here to help. Okay, so, okay. Oh, there's some like decent loot in here.
Dude, that's pretty cool. Oh, well, it's a bit upsetting that to see that there's so much space taken up with airbags, but it's okay.
I was expecting napkins.
I was expecting less, actually.
Okay, we got a Black Panther pin. It's heavy.
Ooh, very cool. We get some sort of, what is that?
It's a,
Like a mug.
Is it a mug? I don't think
it's
it
a
is. I just
coffee
think
mug.
it's a statue. A tiki
No,
statue.
no. It's a mug.
It's a tiki statue, bro.
Oh, look, it has like a thing at the top.
It's a tiki statue.
Marge, what does it do?
Doesn't do anything.
Marge, really, what does it do?
Whatever it does, it's doing it now.
God damn it, I thought it was a mug.
Try and drink out of it, Sam. See what happens.
I will.
Oh, it's a mug!
That's an idiot, everybody.
And we also got a Eric Killmonger little thinger.
I
What'd you
got
get?
Nakia.
You got the whammon.
I got the whammon.
Nice.
Gotta respect whammon.
Okay, so that was at I don't know. We went to the movies in Sydney and we saw it. Anyway,
yes.
Sam, we actually said to each other specifically,
We would not
don't say anything to each other about this movie until we're actually sitting here in front of the camera.
All I
live.
saw of Ralph's reaction was at the very end. I looked at him. He went like this. That's all he did. I'm like, whoa.
Maybe
1,000 words.
Maybe
picture.
it was just mind games. Okay, Sam, kick us off. What did you think of Black Panther?
I heard a lot of reviews. Some saying that it was, the best, superhero movie ever. That it was, going to change the landscape of how, superhero movies are made. I will say this.
Just remember, if you say anything bad about this movie, you're racist.
I know, we can't say anything bad
Just
because
remember.
we're racist if we don't like the movie, right?
That's racist!
No, the thing is, right, I actually thought it was a pretty good superhero movie.
I think it was a fucking awesome superhero movie.
I thought it was quite good, and what I loved about it was, with Spider-Man, it started with him just trying to, defend...
Don't spoil anything, by the way.
Oh, okay, we're not.
No spoilers in this movie. In this review. No spoilers.
No spoilers, okay.
Spoilers. Zero spoilers.
Back in the day with Spider-Man, right, what they do is, Spider-Man would have to, defend against the Green Goblin, and all he did was, go on this hovercraft thing. Then, by 10 years later, they're, fighting this alien thing that's as big as Manhattan, and it's destroying the planet. It's gone bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. With this, it's a lot more intimate. It's more like... it's the preservation of a culture. It's very there's an intimate power struggle there. There's there's so much stuff going on, and it's so microscopic, and it's so much better than some alien you've never heard of.
And I agree with that because I'm really over superhero movies at this point.
Totally.
We saw the Justice League. Holy shit,
Wow,
that was a bad film, man. And the enemy was just even Wonder Woman. Everyone's like, oh, Wonder Woman was amazing. I enjoyed Wonder Woman, but I didn't think it was that great. It really just didn't work.
I didn't think
it
was that great either.
I thought it was a fine superhero movie. It was absolutely not a great
That's
superhero.
just sexist, everybody.
That's right.
You hear that?
I'm sexist, but I'm not racist because I like Black Panther.
That's true. That's okay.
But Black Panther, I think you're right. It manages to keep things really contained. You actually know the enemy. He's not some stupid three-dimensional CG character with a crappy generic voice. He's a real dude, and you fight, and you feel the emotion, you feel the tension, it's a real thing. But while it's maintaining this really intimate connection, it's also reaching for some larger themes because it actually is connected to the whole colonization history and gender relations and politicization and policing and incarceration in America and all these sorts of things. Like, it does talk to them in really subtle and interesting ways. It's not like ramming the message home. Like, it's not the kind of movie that's like, this is a movie about the black struggle. It's not about that. But it does touch on those things at the right times in the right way.
And it's also, loudly proud of, bringing out African heritage, African culture. And I also felt like there was also some questions in that movie that we haven't heard in other movies. We haven't felt in other movies, like, technology, without going into spoilers, of course, but the theme of, technology and what it should be used for, and, the ethical implications and the moral implications of introducing a technology or not introducing a technology into other cultures. And like it was very different to what you would expect from a superhero movie.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, we need the special cube of power, It
did have that sense of tritium or some shit, they always come out.
It did have a little bit of some special metal.
They always do though, right?
There's always some new metal in every superhero film.
There's two things that you can always rely on in any superhero movie. Some unknown, metal that just appears, right? And Stan Lee. He's just in it. Stan Lee's just there.
Good morning, Dr. Francois. Security ought to be beefed up a lot more in a place like this.
That's right. But overall, I think the performances from the cast, I think, were really strong as well. T'Challa, the King,
Definitely.
He was awesome.
I thought he was exceptional.
I think he was exceptional. I think he just carried every scene super well. I think his girlfriend was perfectly cast as well. They had a great tension going on.
Yeah.
They had this general that was like the head of the Praetorian Guard, and she was fantastic. The bad guy, he was the one guy I wasn't quite feeling like he was really the right cast.
I don't know if it was the script.
It was Michael B. Jordan, who I'm a massive fan of, by the way, because I watched The Wire. Shout out to anyone that watched that when your boy Wallace was on that show.
I don't know if it was the script or maybe it was the casting, but I did feel when I was looking at that villain that there was a forced sense of depth. I can't explain it, but like when he at the end, I can't go into spoilers, actually.
You can't go into spoilers.
Yeah, I can't go into spoilers.
At the end of the movie, when he does this, I'm just not sure about that.
This, right? And Doc Ock appears.
But he was also the contemporary African-American connection, by the way, because the rest of them are Africans, and he's like the one, African-American dude, and so he sort of sits in that film to create a necessary bridge, but it feels awkward in the way that they've done it as well. Like, his character doesn't click, his dialogue doesn't really click.
I feel like his motives didn't sometimes fit his actions. He fit this.
He would, I agree with that. He would oscillate wildly between,
I
need to do something really good, and I actually need to do something super evil.
Yeah, and it was too confusing. In your face of like, I'm the villain, and I'm just like doing evil things. Like, this movie had so much, nuance to it that it had enough room to breathe.
Agreed.
A villain that was a lot more deeper than that. Another thing is, there's a bit of a confusion of who the main villain is. I felt that.
No, I didn't
feel didn't feel that at all?
No.
That guy?
No, we can't spoil it.
Okay, we won't spoil it.
But
I couldn't believe it. Like, what the hell was Alfred doing there? He was a butler and he became evil, but whatever.
I failed you.
And I think that as well, there wasn't a huge focus on action. It was peppered throughout. It wasn't just like, oh, here we go, another fight scene or whatever. It was deployed at the right time.
It was impressive action too.
And it was super good. Some of the scenes were fantastic.
Yeah.
I feel like there were some cool James Bond scenes to it as well.
Car chases, yeah.
I feel like this movie was kind of like, it really didn't feel like a superhero film to me in many respects. Sometimes it did, but a lot of the time it just felt like, like James Bond or some kind of political thriller,
or
like
agree with
almost a Game of Thrones-esque.
Could have been like a Jason Bourne film.
Except part of it could have been, the other part of it could have been like Game of Thrones.
I agree,
with that court drama, not like The Practice or whatever court, like Law and Order, but court as in like, the Court of Kings. So it was just it clicked together so well. The soundtrack, I thought, was pretty subtle. It didn't hit it too hard,
but you felt it, felt it, and it definitely gave it, an oomph.
Definitely.
You definitely felt that.
Kendrick Lamar did the soundtrack, which I didn't know.
Totally.
And I was just talking about Kendrick in one of my videos that I did recently. I'm not a fan of his music, but I like what he did with the soundtrack here. No question.
Totally.
So,
guys,
I would say, go on.
I was going to say, I would say it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's the best. It's not better than Dark Knight. Like, it's just not. For me, when people come along and say it fundamentally changes the way that superhero movies are going to be made, I don't agree with that. I think that Dark Knight did that. I will say though that this gave me a different perspective of how they could maybe be made, but I think it'll be more of a niche thing.
Yeah, I think with superhero films, I become really bored when they sort of start being superheroes most of the time. And this one walked a really fine line where you were dealing with the humanity of the characters and their world and everything. It spent a lot of time world building and character building, and that is what I loved about it. I hope that other Marvel comic movies and DC comic movies, especially DC movies, in fact, invest in that sort of line, because, you know, it's the characters that we're invested in. The action we kind of get a bit over really fast, but if you build a really cool character, we stick with that character.
100%.
You know?
100%.
And I don't think it was the best. I mean, I'm trying to think. Was it the best Marvel film that you've seen?
I don't know about that. No, I have to think more about that, to be honest.
I think so too. I think it was technically the best Marvel film in terms of like the way it was composed and put together. But I think there was an effect of watching Spider-Man the first time and Iron Man the first time, when it was like, holy shit, this whole new thing is here. Now we've seen 30 Marvel movies, and this one is definitely, I think, if you look at all its pieces, the best one, technically speaking. But I just didn't enjoy it as much because of the fact that it wasn't like, I wasn't, 10 years ago, 15 years ago watching Iron Man for the first time.
I agree with that. Like, if it came first, it's probably strong enough to maybe change, like, it could have changed the way that other movies were made, other superhero movies were made, because it is, all the moving cogs work so well in that movie.
Totally.
So I thought it was good. I thought it was very good.
Really, really recommend seeing it, guys. It's out on Thursday, I think. So it's like, by the time you see it, it's probably going to be out where you're at. And let us know what you think in the comments below. And we will be back soon for the next video.
Rouse Racist.
You are one pathetic loser.